You're never going to get away from it, especially in the state of Iowa. The whole state of Iowa is Zone 1.
You can't see it or smell it, and it's the second leading cause of lung cancer in the country. The Quad City area is a hot zone for the highest levels of radon.
The EPA recommends that schools test for radon, but in Iowa and Illinois, it is not required. A KWQC investigation uncovered that most schools don't do the recommended testing, leaving kids at risk of exposure.
KWQC's Morgan Otier shows us the reasons for that.
It's extremely easy for radon to seep into a structure, whether it's a house, business, or a school. Radon is the breakdown of uranium in the soil, and it's in the air that creeps up through the soil, and it'll go wherever there's space for it. Now, radon can travel into buildings, and oftentimes it gets trapped there. Now, this happens maybe if there's a crack in the building's foundation or slab. Radon can also contaminate groundwater, coming into people's homes through shower and sink faucets. Radon can also enter a building through windows if those windows are underground or close to ground level. While it's easy for radon to become trapped inside a building, it's not as easy to get it out, especially if radon is trapped inside a school. Most of the homes that licensed radon tester Mark Crowley walks into have high levels of radon.
About 70% of houses in Iowa I test will test high.
But he says those high numbers can always be lowered.
I've never seen a number that can't be fixed. There's no number that scares me, really.
The EPA recommends that action is taken to fix a radon problem if levels reach 4.0 picocuries or higher.
The house at 4.0 picocuries is equivalent to a half pack a day smoking habit.
While Mark routinely tests homes for radon, he's never tested a school, partially because school officials rarely ask.
There's no outrage associated to it like there would be if it was carbon monoxide or some other gas.
And we found out there are several reasons why schools don't test for radon. Testing can be costly.
Some of it is financial. There is an expense to it because of the sheer number of test monitors you would have to use, the labor time involved in placing the monitors, retrieving the monitors, mailing away to a laboratory.
You can buy a radon test at a hardware store for $10 to $15. It costs roughly $30 to send that test to a lab. You'd also have to put a test in multiple locations around the school, so that multiplies the cost.
In a 30-room classroom, you're going to be probably around that $2,000 mark.
So it's thousands of dollars to test, but that's not the only holdup. Testing a school is also an organizational nightmare.
You've got the uncontrollability, things like for a residential test, we want to maintain closed house conditions. So to tell a single owner, I need my doors and windows closed, that's very easy.
In order for testing to be accurate, the tests cannot be disturbed. They can't be touched or moved. And if someone opens a door or window, that changes the air quality, in turn changing the test results.
To tell 400 students that we got to keep the doors and windows closed, we can't move the monitors, we can't touch them, you lose some of the control of the testing capabilities.
Testing a school for radon is hard to do, but it's not impossible.
The test would have to be done like over spring break or a holiday break because we need at least a 2-day test to be legitimate of closed house conditions or closed building conditions.
And once there's a test, there are sure to be results. And sometimes those results are considered to be dangerous.
A concern at 4.0 picocuries and above. So 0 to 3.9 is considered acceptable, 4.0 and above is considered an elevated level, and that's where the EPA recommends mitigation.
Once a mitigation system is installed, air coming up from the ground is vented through a fan system instead of becoming trapped inside the building itself. If there's any radon in it, it's vented safely away from the property.
That fan is a 24/7 non-stop draw fan that is sucking the air from under and venting it around. As it's getting that air outside, it's breaking down naturally.
But mitigation systems are oftentimes more expensive than the testing process. It costs anywhere from $2,500 to $5,000 to mitigate an 8,000 square foot school, depending on how much radon is found and where. But many schools don't make it to the mitigation stage because they're not forced to test.
Why is it only recommended to get tested for radon?
Because of the lack of outrage, in all honesty. There's just not enough. If there was a bunch of kids dropping dead from lung cancer, then all of a sudden there's outrage associated with it.
And as long as testing is only recommended by the government, schools don't have to do it. Morgan Otier, KWQC, HD News.